Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. We are going to skip right past the fact that I haven't made a video in like a year. Just ignore that whole fact and just get right into what I'm talking about. I've been doing a ton of wedding makeup lately, especially throughout the fall, and I've come across a ton of people that want to know the basics of how to do face makeup, how to do eye makeup. So I thought I would just make a video breaking down the steps, like very simply, very basic, and just talk about why I'm doing certain things the way I do, how to just get the most flawless face possible, and how to get your makeup to last all day long. And I'm breaking it down into different steps. So step one is to exfoliate. I do this like 2 to 3 times a week, especially when I'm seeing a bunch of dry skin around my nose or on my chin area, and especially in the winter when my skin just gets so freaking dry. And what do I mean by exfoliate? I literally mean take a washcloth, take soap, face wash, whatever you normally wash your face with, scrub your face with hot water and really get off all those dead skin cells. Once you exfoliate, step 2 is to moisturize. I always put moisturizer on before I do my foundation and everything. And I tend to go for a lighter moisturizer. I can leave some recommendations down below, but definitely a lighter moisturizer during the day because anything too thick will make you oily a lot faster. One thing to note though is if you're getting ready for a nighttime event, make sure you do not have SPF in your moisturizer or in your foundation or concealer or anything, because SPF is going to give you flashback. So if you were to take a picture at night and it flashes, you're going to get like a white cast on your face. That's step 2. Moisturize with a lighter moisturizer. Make sure you're using SPF during the day. Skip it at nighttime. So I've already exfoliated and moisturized my face, so now I'm going to actually go through the rest of the steps with you. So step 3 is prime your face. Primer does a few things. It will fill in pores. Like I have pretty decent sized pores. It also makes your foundation last much longer. And then it can also do certain things, like there's hydrating primers. There's also mattifying primers. So if you have more oily skin, primers will help to keep all that oil at bay throughout the day. Instead of not having a primer, your foundation can easily be broken up by those oils under. Some of my favorite primers are like Too Faced the Hangover Primer, and then I also really love this Soap & Glory One Heck of a Blot Primer. I am basically out though, so I'm gonna struggle getting this thing out. Focus primers like right in my T-zone area, right in my forehead, on my nose, and then right on my cheeks right here, and then also on my chin. So once you have primer done, the next step is foundation. I can make a whole video on the different types of foundations, what foundations you should be looking for your skin type. There's a lot. And if you have any questions, feel free to DM me, leave a comment down below. But I'm just gonna share some of my favorite foundations. First one is the Maybelline BB cream, the blue one. This is my favorite BB cream by far. I love to wear it when I'm going to work. It's because a BB cream is a lot lighter than regular foundation. So day to day when you're in the office, and you don't want your face to just feel super heavy and you don't want it to look super heavy, I love to go more towards a BB cream. I also recommend BB creams if you aren't one to wear a ton of makeup. BB creams is a great option because it's definitely a lot lighter than a regular foundation. And then another great option is the Estee Lauder Double Wear. So that is probably one of the most full coverage foundations on the market. So if you have a ton of imperfections, a ton of acne scars, things like that, or if you have extremely oily skin, or you just tend to go towards more of a full coverage foundation, I would definitely recommend the Estee Lauder Double Wear. I know one of my best friends, Jackie, she wears it all the time and she loves it. So my all-time favorite foundation right now, and it is the foundation I wear for every single wedding that I do, every time I do someone else's makeup, is the Wet n Wild Photo Focus foundation. This is literally $5. It doesn't have SPF in it, so it doesn't give you any flashback, and it is literally meant for taking photos. Could not recommend this enough, and I'm going to mix together Golden Beige and Soft Ivory today. I forgot to mention that there's 2 main ways that you can apply your foundation. The first is with a wet sponge. So this is the Real Techniques flexion sponge, I believe. And so basically what you do is when you take it out of the package, run it under water, and you just squeeze it till it expands. And then I always take a towel and just squeeze out all the excess water. A sponge also will pick up any excess foundation and make sure that your foundation doesn't look cakey. So I always recommend sponges with more full coverage foundations. But you could also use a brush, and I always use this brush when I'm applying the Maybelline BB cream. This is the e.l.f. Ultimate Blending Brush or something like that. I'll link it down below. But so I like to use brushes with lighter foundations, and then I like to use sponges with more heavy foundations. So my card just got full, so then I had to download all those videos onto my computer and then delete them. So, but here we are back. Now that leads us to step number 4, and that is concealer. So concealer is really just a lot heavier and like more full coverage than foundation. So you're just going to put concealer in the places that you need more coverage. I always do under my eyes because it really brightens it up when you put concealer there. And then I'll do around my nose because I get a lot of redness around my nose. And then on my chin and in the corners of my mouth. And then down my nose to highlight, and then on my forehead to highlight. A lot of great concealers on the market right now. One that I'm sure you've heard about is the Tarte Shape Tape. I have a little bit too light of a shade right now, so I'm not going to be using this. But another one of my favorite concealers is the Wet n Wild Photo Focus. This is the concealer I'm going to use today, and it is in the shade Light Ivory. And I just put a decent bit right underneath my eyes and just kind of make this triangular shape. So then again under your eyes, make sure you're using these pretty soft bouncing motions and just blending that out. That under eye is done, and you can clearly see the difference between concealing on this side and not concealing on this side. And then I'm going to go ahead and do right around my nose and around my mouth and on my chin. And also the concealer I'm using right now is like a shade lighter than my skin tone so that I can highlight. But if you were to conceal any zits, I'd recommend using a shade that is basically the same color as your foundation. Once you have all of the creams down, that is when you're gonna powder your whole face. If you have drier skin, definitely recommend powdering at least the concealer and maybe leaving the rest of your face unpowdered so then it'll be more dewy-like. But if you have oily skin, absolutely recommend powdering your entire face. And you can powder your face in 2 different ways. You can either use a loose powder like this RCMA no color powder, or you can use a powder in a compact. So the one I'm going to use today is this Wet n Wild pressed powder. This is in Warm Light. I'm going to use this with a e.l.f. blush brush, but before I do that, I always make sure I go back in with my sponge and just smooth out any of the fine lines that the concealer might have seeped into, and then immediately go right in with the powder. We're just going to do that triangle area. Once everything is powdered, the next step I always do is bronzer. Some of my favorite bronzers are Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer, NARS Laguna Bronzer. I love the Kat Von D Shade and Light palette, and also love this Wet n Wild Dolce de Leche contour palette. I'm going to go in with the Wet n Wild Dolce de Leche, whatever, and then I'm using this with a MAC 168 brush. So just going to go into the pan and then knock off any of the excess. Because I'm so pale because it is fall, I want to make sure I warm up like my forehead so that it looks like, oh, maybe I got a little bit of sun. Put a little bit on my nose and then put some on my cheeks to make my face look skinnier. And bronzing up my forehead is honestly my favorite area to add color to. Like, look at that, to use. So then when doing my cheekbones and like bronzing and contouring, sucking your cheeks in where you see that hollowness, that is where you want to put it. And then you want to, as you put it there, blend it upwards because it is going to blend into your blush. That's where I'm going to put this color. And again, I'm blending it in circular motions upwards. This side of my face looks way more structured versus this, which just looks pretty flat. So I normally just take whatever is left on my brush and just kind of run it over my nose. And then I will always take my bronzer and put it underneath my chin. For blush, I have a ton of favorite blushes. I'll link them down below. But my all-time favorite right now is the Wet n Wild Rose Champagne blush. I also love MAC Pinch Me. I use MAC Pinch Me on pretty much all of my brides. It's just a great deep rosy color and it's very matte. But this Rose Champagne is more of like a rosy color, and then it has some sparkle in it, or some like glitter in it, which I really love. Some people hate glittery blushes, and I always put blush on with my favorite Morphe E4 blush. It's because I have a very circular face. I really bring it backwards. Do this face, very cute. And just put it on my cheeks and then brush it back and basically brush it in to that contour color or bronzer color. And I like to put a lot of blush on. And also blush is always the first thing to fade. So I never worry about looking too crazy because I know it's gonna fade throughout the day. And then I always go in with this blush particularly and put it on my nose as well. So I feel like it just makes me look like I've been out in the sun, a little bit sun-kissed. Highlighting is all about bringing out the high points of your face, so like the top of your cheekbones, the top of your nose, sometimes on your forehead, and your cupid's bow. Today I'm going to use Becca's Champagne Pop with a Morphe M501 brush. And then I'm just really going to focus right at the top of where I put all that blush. And then I personally love to highlight the tip of my nose and the bridge of my nose. Some people don't like it, so own personal preference. So that's all you have to do for the face. And then I always just finish it off with some setting spray. One of my favorites is the Wet n Wild Photo Focus one, and just spray it all over and let it dry. And that just really like locks it in. It's basically hairspray for your face. Now I'm gonna go do the rest of my makeup off camera and then I will be right back. So first I gotta say the eyelashes I tried are freaking horrible. I did the Ardell Demi Wispies, the faux mink ones, and I kid you not, they like just stick straight out. I just tried to curl them and everything, and this is the best that I could do. That being said, so this is the complete look with the full face done. I think it looks really good. This is honestly my routine pretty much every time I do my makeup, so it doesn't really change that much. But let me know if y'all have any questions, or you want to see something more specific, if you want to see more of a specific contour video or something like that. I can totally do that. Thank y'all so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in my next video, and hopefully it won't be next year. Bye.